Hey everyone, it's Joanne Molinaro, the Korean vegan, and welcome to my home. Today, Good Housekeeping has asked me to give you a tour of my kitchen to show you how I keep everything organized. But before we get started, please be sure to check out the Korean Vegan Cookbook. It just came out and it's on sale everywhere books are sold. All right, let's get started. This is usually where people keep their stand mixer, but this is where I keep one of the most important kitchen tools in any Korean kitchen, and that is the rice cooker. So this is my rice cooker. It's a very nice rice cooker. It's high tech. It talks to me. It tells me when it's ready. It tells me when it's staying warm. It tells me when it's canceled. So this is where I keep my rice maker. And then right next to that is where I keep a lot of my different kinds of grains and rices. So you'll see here all the different kinds of grains that I like to use in my rice mix, and very similar to the rest of my kitchen and my fridge. It's a little bit of Korean, a little bit of American. Right here is a torsot, or a stone pot, which is what you would use if you were making rice the traditional way without a rice cooker. So I do a lot of baking, and I keep most of my baking tools in my island. This is sort of one of the drawers that we have a lot of our baking tools. I know it looks crazy and totally disorganized, but this is actually pretty organized. Everything is kind of where it needs to be. This is not gonna be your typical everything is polished. I hired an organizer to organize everything, but here is actually like a lot of the things that I need for baking. In the bottom is where I keep a lot of my baking pans along with my spray, because this is where I use the cooking spray most often. So you'll see I have all different shapes and sizes. Again, I love to bake, so we see a lot of different things going on in here. And then finally, speaking of baking, we have more baking tools in this drawer. I always feel like I can never have enough measuring cups. I don't know, measuring cups are like socks. They seem to be eaten and devoured by the kitchen because I feel like I lose them all the time. So for my birthday, I asked my husband to buy me like multiple different sets of measuring cups and spoons. So I keep them here. Hopefully I will be better about retaining them. Also, I have here some digital scales because I like to bake with scales. Underneath that is sort of our baking ingredients, multiple different kinds of sugars and flours, sifter, measuring cups, and baking powder, baking soda. I like to take things out of the bags and putting them in my own containers and then labeling the containers myself, just because it is less messy when you're cooking and just easier. Like now I can just reach for things and I know exactly what's in each container. All right, let's take a look at the fridge. There are a lot of small containers and mason jars containing lots of different things here in my fridge. We have here sort of like chopped vegetables, but most of these containers contain pickled vegetables like kimchi. I have multiple different kinds of kimchi in this fridge. So I have here like cucumber kimchi, pechu kimchi. We have another jar of pechu kimchi. I think back there we have even more kimchi. And then of course I just have jars that contain leftover cucumbers from my leftover from making the cucumber kimchi, and some jalapenos. I also have here a bunch of kale because we use kale often enough where having it within easy reach is really nice. We also keep some kale in our crisper drawer. Seeing more containers here, we have here more kimchi. This is 깻잎 actually, or perilla leaf. And both my husband and I are athletes, so we like to have something with protein in it within easy reach as well. And then these jars contain a lot of homemade sauces and stock. So this is mushroom tashi, or mushroom stock. This is my spicy garlic sauce and my Korean barbecue sauce. These are sauces that I use almost every single day in some way, shape, or form. So I like to keep them pretty much well in stock 24/7. We have some tofu, which is my most often used protein. And of course we have some sparkling water, which is basically the only kind of water I drink. So this is the inside door of my fridge. Very typical looking. We have a lot of different plant milks and lots of small jars of sauces and more pickles. And then in the bottom is where I keep more Korean sauces. These are tubs of doenjang and gochujang, which are fermented soybean paste. Again, I use this in my cooking a lot, so I have these kind of scattered throughout. These are the ones that are already open, and then I keep unopened, unused ones in my cupboards. So turning to my cupboard, cupboards now. This cupboard is the one that I use most frequently because, as you can see, it's very near my stovetop. And these are sort of the liquid ingredients that I am using very often in my cooking. So you'll see there a huge bottle of extra virgin olive oil, which is my basically everyday cooking oil. You also see some sesame oil here, which I use again a lot in my cooking. Maple syrup is my sweetener of choice for savory dishes. I have here a little bit of vanilla. I don't use that in my cooking so much as my baking, but I do keep it here. And then I have here rice vinegar, some rice wine, and then back there, let's see, here we go. I have here some soy sauce. I actually have multiple different kinds of soy sauce in this area, but again, this area is right next to my stove so that I can easily just go for the sesame oil, the rice wine, or whatever I need in order to cook whatever I'm cooking. So next to that is our workaround to the fact that we don't have a regular pantry in our kitchen. So I kind of use this corner cupboard, if you will, just because it goes so deep for things like spices. We have a lot of spices that I use for my cooking. These are the ones that I use more often. I also have here a container that I keep for less often used spices, but you know, when I'm making something special, I may have to go through that bin in order to find something. You see here some chocolate chips. You gotta have chocolate chips in any pantry. And then all the way up top, we have sort of our noodle slash pasta area. My husband is Italian American, so we always have to have multiple different kinds of pasta in our cupboard. And I'm Korean, so we have to have ramyeon in our cupboard at all times as well. Here we have more sauces. These are the ones that I don't use as often, but may turn to for special dishes. And then up top, we've got some nuts that we use for snacking, particularly after a run. And then way up top are black beans and lentils. Again, we love beans because they offer a great source of protein after a long run. Again, this is very like typical Joanne Korean vegan kitchen in that there's a little bit of American, but there's also a little bit of Korean. So these are the bowls and the dishes that we got when we were married. You know, very expensive, basically never use them because I'm too scared to. I'm just kidding. But these are also tukbaegis in the middle. These are Korean earthenware bowls that are used for soups and stews. And then right above that, you see the Korean style bowls for rice. So, you know, you put rice in there and you top it with this lid to make sure it stays nice and hot. And then behind you can see the silver bowls that are used for the stews if you don't have a tukbaegi. All right, so this area is where I keep some of my nicer things. These are more like handcrafted plates and bowls that I like to use when I'm creating like my TikToks or Instagram videos or YouTube videos. These were hand etched Korean style bowls that I picked up in Korea the last time I was there. So you can see this is just an area that I like to have where everything's kind of organized and I can easily reach for, oh, I need a plate for this photograph, or I need a bowl for my video, etc. So here's where we keep our everyday silverware. Pretty standard. I do like to keep this area organized only for safety purposes, because the last thing you want to do is reach in and grab something that's sharp and hurts you. And here is where we keep our not everyday silverware, i.e. Dinner party silverware or super nice guest silverware. So this is nice Korean silverware. I use this again for props as well as for dinner guests who are comfortable using chopsticks and Korean spoons. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Good Housekeeping, and also again, make sure to check out the Korean Vegan Cookbook. You can also find me at The Korean Vegan on all social media platforms. Have a lovely day, everyone.